We did the SuperDust rebrand with you. I think that was 2 years ago. And it was
Nearly 18 months ago.
18 months ago. And then it was a brand. I don't remember the brand again. What was the brand before?
Purity plant protein.
Yeah, that's what it's called before. So you purchase this, you have this business, you purchase the business that you decided to do a rebrand with us. So why did you decide that a rebrand was?
Correct. At the time, so we purchased this business and it was just a supplements business at the time. And, we realized that the name and how the business started, it was very limiting. We couldn't really grow the vision that we had for the business with the brand that was created at the time. And again, it was a brand that was just created without any foundations. It was, let's start a supplements business, buy another agency, let's start a supplements business, let's create the basics of visuals, put it out there, and try and pump money on ads to see if it works. At the time, we realized that the brand was built without any foundations, and by that I mean there was no thought process around who is the ideal customer, how can we make sure that we create something that communicates directly with them, that belongs to their culture, and it adds value. It was just, again, very general, like sports supplements, very general, get images from stock images. And I believe that in this day and age, when you're entering an industry like supplements, it is highly, highly competitive. There's a lot of people doing amazing work. You do have to have an understanding of the customer and really create that differentiation in creating a customer journey. And I think that's when I realized, this needs to be rebuilt from scratch with new foundations. Name, the visual identity, the type of customers that we were, working with and wanting to help. And then I realized that we wanted to niche in mountain biking athletes. And when I decided to really niche and focus on that community, I realized that I needed to create something that was loyal to their culture.
Mm-hmm.
And when that culture was like, I need to create something that I'm proud to put, and it becomes kind of embedded into the culture of what mountain biking is in Australia, then I made a decision to work with you and your team, because I thought nobody else would execute that vision of creating something that was more cultural first than it was this kind of like business branding. That was the main thing that I wanted. It was somebody that can really like stretch this idea as far as we can. So, it's something that stays loyal to the culture. That was the initial decision making.
Yeah, so I think like there's a difference between business strategy and the brand strategy, right? So because the business
Mm.
structure has changed, you are building essentially a new business because you realize you need to narrow down to a niche. So your business
Mm-hmm.
strategy changed, and then so you need to have a new brand strategy. And the difference between the two is like what you say. Brand strategy is definitely more about the culture side, the emotive side. And because
Correct.
you are yourself are a marketing expert, so we actually learned so much from you as well.
Oh, I
And
wouldn't say a marketing expert,
yes,
but
you
yeah.
are. And it's really amazing to see like the pull and the push of the relationship while we're working together. Because, for example, the website, we really want to make sure we get the cultural side nailed, the art side,
Mm.
the artistic, the creative side, figure out so that it can become something that's very resonating, very attractive to our follower, especially
Mm-hmm.
MTB being such a small niche community. But then your
Yeah.
background really force us to also think about the call to action, the attention to this, something that's people can click on it immediately and convert it into purchase or convert it into the
Mm-hmm.
um, in a membership program. So that was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love that relationship with an agency like us to just do pull and push? We have,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I think well, I wouldn't call myself a marketing expert by no means. I think it's more understanding. Again, I always bring back to the customer journey. At the end of the day, the brand is only as successful as the business, right? Is successful. I think and the brand is like I always call it is a wardrobe, right? But you still have to take the, if you're dressing yourself, where are you going? You're going to a party,
Yeah.
you're going
Yeah.
to, office, you're going. And I saw the brand as this kind of wardrobe that would take us to all of these places where mountain bikers were, and we would belong. But
Mm,
we would belong and we would be seen and we would be attractive and we would create conversations, right? If you go to a party, like, what are you expressing through what you're dressing? Do you want to be the extrovert that people come and talk to? And I think that's the way I approached the push and pull. It was very much, this wardrobe can't just be inside of a wardrobe hanging. It has to go out there. And how can I take the brand, the artistic brand that Olivia creates, and put it in an environment that create a gut feel of, oh, this is cool. I like this. That initial interest, but then keeps bringing them closer and closer and closer, and converts the right customers to the services and the products that we have. But I think a lot of what I've seen, a lot of the breakdown is sometimes agencies or creative agencies don't necessarily understand that full customer journey. They get too caught up on the visuals, or they get too caught up on creating this thing that fits the branding guidelines or the
yeah.
design guidelines,
Yeah.
but it doesn't fit into the culture properly. But businesses also forget that, when you invest into a brand, when you invest into something of such like artistic value, it's only as good as your ability to take it for the customers to see and touch and feel and react to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where that marketing expertise comes from, not necessarily in like funnel strategies and all. It's more just really knowing how to take that brand to the customer. And I think that push and pull that you're talking about is always me trying to filter through the lens of the customers that I already had, that I already knew, and the lens of the practicality of taking that, all of those assets to create impact to the business, to the bottom line in a way. But yeah.
Right. So NTB community was new to you. It's new to your business partners as well. Do you think
Correct.
rebrand helps you fit into such a niche culture? Sometimes they.
Oh my God. Like, seriously, I think, well, we're in business, let's say 18 months. And I think that if I was to value the business right now, the most valuable thing I have is the brand
Mm,
at this stage. Obviously, in 5 years, it balances out with the database. But I think, and I'll give you an example. I'll give an example of how valuable that branding exercise was. Because your process, in a way that I forced you to think about call to actions and the funnel systems and
yes.
and conversions and all of those things when designing something, that it wasn't just the artistic vision but also the practicality of the steps. You forced me to think about the artistic vision and how it would impact the customer, right? And I, at the time, when we launched the brand and we put those assets in front of people, it was like everybody was like, wow, like nobody had done anything anywhere closer to that thing, the effort and the art. And it really startled people. And it startled people in a good way that it was, wow, these guys are freaking serious. This is awesome. This is amazing. And we went out with t-shirts, and it wasn't just like, oh, there's just another freaking
Merch. Yeah.
merch. It was like, I want that. And
Yeah.
it was, we weren't trying to sell something. We weren't trying to sell in the beginning. It was just, we've tried to bring people closer. And if I hadn't done the branding in the way that we've done it and followed your direction in the artistic vision, I don't think I could have created that emotional connection.
Mm.
And like a major proof of that is, we went to a festival, we launched the brand, and we showed only like 25% of the assets that we had created at the time. And as the time progressed, we started to roll it out in so many different ways. And people were startled at first and they didn't fully understand what the business was, but they just kept liking, they kept enjoying seeing the show of this brand evolving. And 2 months ago, we went to a small event. And for me, that was a major test of the work that we've done. We had all of these kids coming up to us and going, do you own SuperDust? And I was like, I was a little bit shy because, and I was like, yeah, I do. And these kids were like, oh my God, SuperDust is the coolest brand. Like, I would love to be part of SuperDust one day. And
Oh,
for me, it was like, wow, there's all of this stuff, invisible ripple effect that you don't see happening, that you don't see through social media, right? You don't see through the likes. It's just happening. It's just growing on people. And that's what creates that foundation that will last a very long time.
yes. Yes.
Again, a lot of people like to start investing as much as we did into a brand sounds risky. It sounds a lot at the time, but then over years you see that thing growing and evolving without needing to be reworked.
Mm-hmm.
It was done properly from the get-go, and the impact that we had on the community, that impact lasts for years.
Yes. And you create
And
a
it's the gut
splash, right? Like, there's no
and it's the gut feel.
desires.
It's not like this kid might not buy something now, might not be a customer now, but it might in 3 years' time, because he's seeing the evolution of something that was created for them, that it has an emotional resonance with them. Incredibly hard to do,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
but
I truly believe if
that's
you
why
don't,
it's worth it.
yes, if you don't create, if you create a new business, if you create a new brand, but it doesn't make any splash, it doesn't make any emotional connection to anyone, why even launch it, right? You know you're not gonna make enough conversion because people don't even have the first step of feeling curiosity or even surprise or even
Mm.
this love for a brand just by attraction of a brand just by looking at it. And I think
Mm.
we talk about it the other day, and you told me like branding is kind of like the song, like your favorite song. It's not logical.
Mm.
You don't even know why you like it, but then but it just gets you and you love it. It's a visceral reaction. It's a it's not a logical reaction. And I think that was so
Well,
beautiful.
it can be that, right? If you choose an artist, the idea is that what we're talking about is like when you like a song, sometimes like you're not necessarily analyzing every layer and every beat and how the snare, you just listen to that thing as a full thing. But
Yeah.
it's lots of layers, right? It's the guitar and it's the music and it's the words, but you just experience that thing as this one cohesive, and it creates an emotional reaction. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that. That's what I wanted the brand to be, because I realized that in this day and age, maybe some of the products and services won't work. And if you just focus on launching a product with the packaging in it, a really, you know, if that thing doesn't work, you got to go back to the drawing board.
Yes.
But when you have something that people emotionally resonate with, it gives you room to change and evolve, because that resonance won't disappear. What might change is the products and services and how you do things. And that's what started. That's exactly what happened. In the beginning, we launched and we evolved so much, but I think the emotional resonance with the brand hasn't changed. It actually improved. Even when we failed on some products and services, we failed on certain things. We failed on delivering certain things in the way that we thought it was going to happen. But that emotional resonance, every time I turned up to an event and I saw people and I allow people to give me feedback, that emotional resonance was still there. And that's why I'm saying the most valuable part of the business is that, because not only it created an emotional resonance with the community that I'm trying to impact, but it also cushioned us in a way, because it wasn't this yes or no conversation of here's my product, do you like it or not, yes or no. It
Yes.
wasn't. It was a continuous evolution of our story and who we were and the assets that we're working with. And then you had the right clothing, right? I had so many ways of expressing the same message, and I don't know any, like I do not know another agency, or unless you're going to spend a lot of money, a lot, right? You're a corporation that can afford to spend a lot of money on a full team. I don't know any other agency that can do what you do. I truly no,
Thank you. I think that's great because it was
this might sound biased, and it absolutely isn't. I wouldn't say this if I didn't believe it. I don't think that at the level of business that we were, the size that we were, coming out with like so many different assets and ways of expressing the same thing and still making cohesive, not possible unless they're working with somebody like you, which go and look for it. Like, I bet you won't find it.
thank you so much, Juliana. I'm so happy to see how the business grows as well. And I think it's kind of like it's you say even better than I can. it is the foundation that's going to carry you through instead of just one application, one execution every single time. When a lot of the small business or young founders, when they started a business, they focus on that application, that products. So then they're putting so much on that thing, and when they fail because it doesn't have the bigger backbone behind it, you just feel like a failure, right? But if you, like you say, you have this backbone, you have this community love that was built because of the branding. That thing, it's hard to put the numbers on that, but that thing is more important than every single product launch, because eventually you're gonna get there. Eventually, some product launch is gonna be a success, some is not so, and that's the nature of thing. But at least the brand is there, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what's next. I'm learning so much from you as well, and yes, thank you so much for this interview. And
you're very welcome.
yes, and I think we can end
if I can, like, can I leave? Yes. People are going to watch this, and I'm assuming it's going to be designers inspired by your work, it's going to be customers, inspired by your work, people that are trying to figure out. I think the main thing, if I was to like summarize the whole experience in terms of how to approach the investment on a brand as like the artistic, the visual identity, is you need to get help in keeping the communication with your customers open, exciting, engaging, and alive. Keep the communication going. And the communication is the exchange of them wearing your merch or liking something that you do, not necessarily always buying your product. That is like at the bottom of the thing that, even in marketing strategy, the funnel starts with the awareness, the conversation, the engagement, the relationship building. The conversion is on the bottom.
Yes.
And that investment that you're making on working with somebody like Olivia is, the bigger you make that top, the bigger you can make that top, the more chances you're going to get conversions.
Yes. Well,
the ROI on what the work that you're doing is like the bigger that, and you helped us create such a massive top foundation that the bottom becomes easier and easier. And I think that's, if I could leave it with like the marketing thinking and the ROI thought process, it would definitely be invest into making that side, that foundation as big as you possibly can. And that's what you've done for us.
And I think what we did so well is also because our team is so small, we are so lean, we are able to collaborate with talents from inside the industry. So you introduce us to, to the photographers, many photographers that we work with. You introduce us to, for example, the copywriting was also workshop with the team. So it's like, because our team is so lean, we can go out of the way to then collaborate with the right talents that's helping us to get culture too. So that's why, a big agency, I feel like will have that paycheck, will have that payroll that they have to keep, right? They have to keep people in the team. So that's why I love keeping in a small business. So then when I work with people like you, it'll be nice. Then you can fill me in with, who do you want to work with? Who can we work with? It's very flexible. Great.
Yes, absolutely. I think that part of the process was very cool to
I love
almost like build our own team, right?
Yes,
to build the team that is right for this project versus, you have to use, whoever it is in that agency, and you might not necessarily like the style, but it's all built into that kind of pricing model. And I think that, the second thing that I love about the process is just you have no ego. Like, you're so confident in the quality of your work that us saying no or critiquing it something, it was all for the greater good of the project. And it wasn't this, which I see so often, this like war, client versus creative. It was very much, if I said no and I was like, no, that's not it, you respected my feedback.
Yes.
And if you push for something, I respected your direction when it was right. And I think, for people that don't know, your first concept that you presented was like, no,
far off,
and we started from scratch. And then and then the second version was like beyond anything I could have expected. So I think, working with somebody that you leave the ego out the door and you're really collaborating on achieving the best outcome for the project is amazing.
Yeah, because it's such a niche community, such a niche culture, it takes time for us to get into that too. So it was great to kind of like have this no ego way of working together. You just make everything so much faster, so much smoother.
Yeah.
And this is why you are one of our dream clients. This is the relationship we want to build with all the clients. It's not just us telling you what to do. You should do this, you should do that, because we're not expert in your business. You are the expert in your business. So this way, I always feel like client is actually making my work better. It's not the other way around. Good clients like you are always making our work better. So thank you so much, Juliana. This is a great interview, and I wish you all the best.
You're very welcome.
And I'm excited to see on Instagram or when I see you around to see how SuperDust has evolved. Thank you.
It's evolving every day. Hard, but evolving.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thanks, Olivia. Thanks for